Hello, everyone, and welcome to Your Word is Your Wand. This podcast was designed to wake up and be aware of how our words are actually creating our entire life. Whether we're saying them out loud or we're saying them to ourselves, we're stepping into the power of our words. And my name is Carrie Muchaw, and I am your anxiety expert and also known as Conscious Carrie. And this is my beautiful partner,
Andrea Alexander, anxiety expert and life coach, and I'm also known as Abundant Andrea.
Awesome. And today we have our special guest, Bryce Muchaw. Bryce is my son. Bryce, will you say hello?
Hello.
Awesome. And so as we begin our podcast, we always begin with breath. And so we're going to go ahead, and as we begin today, we're going to go ahead and ask you to take a very deep cleansing breath. So everybody inhale really big, light up your nostrils, and exhale long and slow. And again, inhale really big. And exhale long and slow. We enjoy beginning with breath as a remembering that every inhalation is our act of receiving, and every exhalation is our act of letting go when we will. And so our breaths are the things that are tools that's inside of us that we can use instantaneously. And we do this because we begin every single one of our calls this way that Andrea and I host, and in retreat as well. And the other piece is our decrees. And so, Andrea, will you take a minute and walk us through some decrees and explain what a decree is for those people that are just listening?
Yes. So Carrie and I play in Your Word is Your Wand. Our words are powerfully creating our reality. What we believe is what we perceive, and what we perceive is our truth. And whatever it is that we're putting our attention and our focus on is the energy that we're bringing continually into our life. And so what Carrie and I play with is changing your words, upgrading them. And then one of the ways that we do this is through using decrees. And you've heard of affirmations or mantras. And these are awesome, positive statements, yet they are often stepping over what Carrie and I fully know as our feeling world. And we've all had the experience of knowing we're deserving, but we've yet to have what we really choose. And so that's kind of an example of stepping over your feeling world. You've had an experience in your lifetime that took you out of what felt fully deserving. And so decrees walk us back into the truth of who we were meant to be. It's a remembering of our power that lies deeply within us. And so if you'll place your left hand in the center of your chest over your heart, light I am.
Light I am.
Light I am.
Light I am.
Light
I am.
I am my own permanent victory in the light.
I am my own permanent victory in the light.
My love permanently stays.
My love permanently stays.
Me love me.
Me love me. Always love me, love me. Always, everybody smiles. It's always a light that lights up inside of us when we say that, and that's so awesome. And so today we chose to invite Bryce to jump onto our podcast. And so, Bryce, first of all, will you tell us who you are?
Who I am? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'm Carrie Mushaw's son, if that's not obvious enough. I'm a 15-year-old. I live in Liberty Hill, and I play football. Football is a big part of my life, and I mean, yeah, that's really part of my life. Football. I love football, and that's me really.
Awesome. Awesome.
Why did you say yes to showing up today?
I thought it'd be really interesting to talk about me because I do care about myself a lot, and I think that if I come on here, that it would be pretty cool to figure out some things about me and to share my story.
Awesome. And Carrie asked, she said, "How do you have a yes for Bryce?" Yes. And I just, in case you don't know, I adore this child. He is so full of love and light and compassion and kindness. And it's just so enjoyable for me to see him and how he walks with his great self, his focus on what's important and what he loves, and how he really is creating and shifting his own reality based on what he chooses to have in his life. And it's super fun to see.
So Bryce and I, our whole family created this movement, and we're from Richmond, Texas, which is really by Houston. And I lived there for 18 years. Bryce was born there. And we created this really amazing movement of changing locations to where we lived. All which happened to us during COVID when when our neighborhood felt very locked down. We found a place where we found a lot of ease, and we were outside in the hill country. And in that moment, my beloved Bryce's father and I decided we can move to the hill country. And in that movement, it was a massive remembering of what it is that we really desired to feel. And we desired to feel support all around us, support in our neighbors, in our coaches, in our teachers, in our friends, in our community, and to be really wrapped in that. And that's when we created Liberty Hill, and we stepped into Liberty Hill. And one of the movements that happened during that time is we came into support. And actually, as I remember it, I believe Bryce went first. So because Bryce was in, what grade were you in, Bryce, when you had that hamstring?
My hamstring was 7th grade. I know for sure it was 7th grade summer because that's whenever I finally requested for some coaching, and then I moved straight through it.
And we had been talking about moving at that point. And Bryce, so will you kind of share the story of what happened? Because people don't even, I believe a lot of people that are listening, they may be unaware that our body is like a signal that tells us what's going on inside of us. And so will you share a little bit about how you started learning that and kind of what happened during all of that?
How I learned about coaching and everything. So it all started here in my hamstring. It was my left hamstring, 7th grade summer. I went an entire year and I didn't lift any weights in my legs or anything like that. I just tried to rest and rest and rest, and nothing changed. Nothing changed. It just stayed the same the entire time. So then finally, one day, I was in a car, which I believe so. I think it was in the parking lot of a physical therapy place for my hamstring. And my mom asked me, would you like coaching? And I said, yes. And from there, she just started asking me questions. I answered the questions. And then whenever she asked me questions about it, it was about receiving support, right, Mom?
You know the answer to that.
Okay, so it was about receiving support. So she would ask me questions and about things, and eventually the questions would lead to things in my life and things in my past, and she would give me decrees over them. So I wasn't receiving support like for the main thing that I noticed was when people would say thank you, I would just be like, yeah, or just like, I wouldn't actually like fully take it in and say, you're welcome. You're welcome. And whenever you do that, you feel nice. Like I just said, you're welcome. And I felt it like in my chest. Like it's a good feeling. Because you're fully receiving something. And also when people, they ask, hey, would you like help or anything, like, would you like me to do this? And you're just like, no, I got it all on me. No, like just receive it and just be like, yes, you can come help me. And that's just what I really remember, because this was what 2-3 years ago almost. So it's been a while. So I still only remember just a little bit of everything from it.
That's what happened. What happened when you did all of that? Because look, here. So I gave you those decrees. Did you say them once?
No.
So what did you do?
So I wrote them down in my notes on my phone, and I would say them at night. And if there was ever a time where my hamstring just really felt like it was tight or anything like that, or when I stretch, while I was stretching, I would say my decrees. I remember that now. I would stretch and I'd say my decrees and everything. And it's a phrase of words. If you don't know what a decree is, it's what we did at the beginning. It's a phrase of words, and it correlates to your life and your movement and everything to help you move through. And it helps your mind fully believe what you are saying. Because once you start saying something over and over and over and over again, you start to believe that. So that's what it did. It helped me move through my hamstring injury.
And the other day you were sharing with me something that you did it when you were stretching, and what happened while you were stretching?
I felt like a release. Like whenever I was stretching, like it felt really tight, and I would say it, and I'm like, whoa, now I can actually like go deeper in my stretch, because I'm a very flexible person. And if you know me, you know I'm a very flexible person. So I at one point wasn't able to put my head to my knee, like V-sit like this, and I put my head to like my knee to stretch my left hamstring, and I wasn't even able to do that. Like I would just go down just a little bit, just put my chest forward, and it would hurt. It was a very uncomfortable feeling. But once I said my decrees and everything, I could go deeper into the stretch, and it just felt like a stretch, and it was good.
That's awesome. And so that was part of our whole movement. We were creating this movement of support, and Bryce showed up in this form in it. And that Bryce is so amazing. As your mother, of course, I love hearing all of this. But
we would get on a call and Carrie would be like, he is totally in his room on the roller doing his decrees. I'd be like, oh,
yes,
you fully giving you.
Yes, and being able to walk through that. And so in the walk of support, like I've spoken about our move and how great it was. Will you share a little bit, Bryce, about when you got to Liberty Hill and kind of what happened when we moved in? Like, will you share a story about moving in and what happened then?
Yes, I can talk about this forever and ever, ever and ever. So before I moved here, I talked into everything that I desired in this house, neighborhood, community, and my everyday life. Every single time a topic would get brought up and people would ask, why are you moving? Tell them I'm moving for a supportive community. So that's supportive teachers, coaches, neighbors, just environment, of course. And it was in the hill country, and my parents love the hill country. It's more freedom and everything, nice land and all that. So I spoke into it, and every single time someone ever asked me, that's what I said. And when I moved here, support everywhere. After we moved in, it was like we moved in, took about 2 days, and we still, trust me, it still took a lot of time to unpack. But once we got the house to a part where we could actually sleep for a night, then I went to PAC camp, and PAC camp is the strength and conditioning camp for Liberty Hill athletes. So I went there, and I just told people, hey, like I just moved here because the year before, 7th grade summer, that was the same summer with my hamstring. I went to the camp here. It was for 7th graders going into 8th grader, becoming 8th graders. So I went to their football camp and I talked to everyone. I let them know my story and let them know I'll be here next year. I have a house being built. So I told them that, and I come up here a year later, And I let them know. Some people do remember me. Most people didn't. And I explained my story and everything. It was so nice. People were welcoming me and everything, and just chatting me up and talking to me, being really nice friends, inviting me places and all that. And I'm working out at Pack Camp, and I'm just running, and who do I see walk up to me? Well, of course, I know who he is. It's Coach Walker. Everyone knows in that town who Coach Walker is, football head coach. So I see him walking up to me, and I look at him, and he's walking up to me. So I assume he knows who I am. And he goes, "Hey, Bryce, welcome. You know, right here, you know my name. He already knows my name." And that's what I love, when people, they know my name, and he knows, like, that shows that he cares and that he cares for me. So I went up to him and I shook his hand and everything. He said, "Welcome, and how are you doing? When'd you get here?" And blah, blah, blah. And we kind of just chatted up for like a quick little minute. And then I resumed my workout, and just everything was so nice. And most of the coaches from the camps remembered me, and they showed up for me and everything. And especially this football season, it was amazing. It's the best football season I've ever had in my life.
So far.
So far, yes, so far.
So far.
I have more coming. I have more coming, trust me. So, those coaches, they all showed up for me every single day at practice and on game days, and they showed that they cared, and they supported me and everything to make me the best I am. And I appreciate that a lot. And I let them know that I appreciate it. And by me speaking into it in Richmond, then coming to Liberty Hill, that's what created it. Just speaking into it, saying, I'm going to have this. I will have a supportive community. And when I get there, this is what it's going to be like. And that's what it was, and more. Like, this is all I asked for and more. It was very, very powerful.
And what are you telling yourself now about your future for football?
Well, I haven't said a whole lot yet, but I have a lot coming. I know I have a very bright future.
There is something I'm aware of the signs is behind you.
yeah. That too.
And what do you say about Texas A&M? What do you say about yourself and football at A&M?
I'm playing there. I will be playing there when I get older.
And you lean back in your chair.
I was just trying to point.
I hear you.
So, yes, and that's another thing too. Speaking into it, I still have years to come before I even get close to that. But I will be there. I will be at Texas A&M 2026. I will be there.
What do you love about football, Bryce?
It creates a lot of relationships, talks brotherhood, teamwork, and all that. I have a great time, and I think all my friends I've met through a sport, and if not, it was surrounded by a bunch of people who are in that sport, and that's their friend. So it creates a lot of friendships, and you learn a lot of like traits that you'll need for the rest of your life, and their discipline, teamwork, and brotherhood, all that type of stuff, all the stuff that you will need to get through diversity in life. You know, when something happens, are you just gonna sit back and take it, or are you gonna do something to get back up and get on your feet? That's how I view it, and that's what football's taught me a lot. Again, I could talk about it for hours on end.
And so what I hear is that he shares in common with you is his love of playing.
Yes, I love football.
Yes, she's speaking into your mother's love of playing games.
Mm-hmm.
We play different games.
Yes.
Yet sometimes we play the same games. And yet we love to play.
All in fun.
Yes. And Bryce, in football, so I remember another time. What do you remember another time? Because your body has been your biggest, where your biggest awareness has come in. Is that true?
Yes.
So, I mean, you've learned that when something's going on in your body, I hear that you've learned that when something goes on in your body, that there's more to it than just what you're feeling in your skin.
Yes. Like, this is how I view it. if you have a headache, are you just going to go get an Advil and go sit back down? Or are you going to actually find the problem that caused that headache, and then the Advil will support you with your headache? But that's how I view it. Like whenever I know my body is doing something that's not usual, and it's mainly with pain or just anything like that, discomfort, tenderness, anything like that, that's how I know something in my life is, unusual. My body's talking to me.
What do you remember about your back?
I know it's caused through
real quick, I remember a story that once you got to Liberty Hill and you had something in your back, and what I remember was how quick you were able to do that. Because what I'm aware of is once you start walking in this, you start speeding up, like things start getting faster. And so what was it that happened with your back? Will you share that story?
It was one day at Pat Camp, and I was doing front squats, and I accidentally went down too fast in my back. I got a strained back, and it to stand, it was very uncomfortable to stand, and I had to lay down. So me and my mom, we translated it, and it was sorry, Trooper just tried to run in the door. Sorry. So we translated it, and it was about believing in myself and everything. And it was to coaches, to players in front of me and everything like that. Something happens, and I wasn't really believing in myself at the time. So I said decrees over and over again, put in headphones at night, said it over and over again when I was stretching, when I was doing all that, said my decrees. And next day I was back at Pat Camp and I was fine. And it was from a strained back to I'm healthy the next day, from saying decrees and believing in myself.
Do you remember what any of those decrees were?
I think I actually have some in this drawer in front of me. I could go.
Would you like to share a couple of them?
I don't know off the top of my head. So
you can look.
Okay, I'll see if I still have them in here. Give me 1 sec. I have a lot of papers in here.
I imagine you do, young man.
Mm-hmm. Bryce, I imagine I can support you real quick. If you remember, so what does your back represent? What do you remember your back representing?
Will you remind me, please?
Well, what was your first movement with your hamstrings?
So support. So receiving support.
So your back is support as well. And what you were speaking about was believing in yourself. But it was believing in your support. Because we can give it to us. Like all these people show up and it's so awesome. But it's still as you were saying, the act of receiving, we still sometimes we require receiving it more. Like we get this major miracle. We look around and we're like, oh my God, this is so awesome. And then people always say, this is unbelievable. That's a common phrase I hear people say all the time. This is unbelievable. And I'm like, that's where we're yet to believe fully. We may have walked in it some, but then there's some more. And because what you just said, I heard you say was the things you saw all around you and all the support. And my memory from what you just said, I heard was believing in your support and believing in yourself that you can do it, you can receive it. That's what I remember.
So think about that now. I just remember. I remember it was one day at football practice, and a coach they got on me and they kind of yelled at me. They yelled at me. And how I saw it at the time was the coach is yelling at me. He's being mean to me. But in reality, he was just trying to support me to be better at what I do. He's going to get on my butt when I do something wrong because it's making me better. And that's what I saw it. I saw it the wrong way. And then next day, I saw it that he's just trying to support me. He's supporting me.
And are you aware if you heard from the coach before your back felt strained or after?
I'm sorry, say that again.
So you had the experience with the coach yelling at you, and how you received it was as if you're in trouble. So did you strain your back after that incident?
Yes.
because it's how he took it, how you took in your support as negative. And then when you played with you gave yourself decrees, understood what it was about, and you played with that, stretched yourself in that, and gave yourself a new way of being with the experience, is where you let go of the pain of how we felt supported. Awesome. I love consciousness. I love consciousness.
And Bryce, do you have friends that listen to this podcast now?
I have put a couple of my friends on it. I've told them about it. They don't listen to it every single day, but they have listened to a podcast, maybe two. So, and I told them about it, that I was going to be on this on Sunday, because this isn't live. This is recorded, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay,
We'll put it live on Wednesday.
Yeah, so I'll tell them about that, and they'll watch it. They'll probably post some stuff on social media about it or something. Yeah.
And do you share any of the things that you've learned with your friends?
Yes. I talk about you to my friends, actually, probably more than you think, Mom, because it's very powerful and everything. Like, it's just like a bunch of people, and the reason why I do that is because I see my friends, something happens in life, and then they just like shut down and, oh, it's all this, it's all that. I'm just like, what if you just saw it this way? Imagine what would happen. Look at me. I've had experiences like it, and I told them my experiences, and they're like, oh yeah, cool. And some take it, some don't take it, like the advice. And I'm just telling you, like, I share your stories, Mom. I share my stories, and it's very real. It's crazy that your mind is your wand. Your mind is your wand. It's whatever. Your world is whatever you make it.
Yes, and Bryce, is it your mind or is it your heart?
Both. Your heart.
Say that again.
It's your heart.
Yeah. Do you remember? I remember being in the car with you before, and you said some decrees, and I looked over at you and I asked you where you felt that, and you were like, whew. And do you remember like some times where you've had some big feelings? You don't have to be specific necessarily, but do you remember like really big feelings coming in?
Yes, I say a decree, and it just feels like your heart is glowing. Like, you ever see like the lights like at a bar or something that says like open outside, and it's like those lights, and they just slowly get lighter, like
Brighter.
Yeah, brighter. Yes, that's how I feel. That's how my heart feels whenever I say certain decrees and say certain things. So you just feel like your heart's just glowing, just so bright. That's the best way to put it.
That's awesome.
I resonate with that.
Yes, and I love that. I love the understanding of that, because that's why we know this is really not, is this anything in your head? No, it may be something that's played in the past, but when you're saying your new things, and that's how you know, because when you're expressing how that feels in your heart, you're expressing that it really lands in you, and that's how we empower our heart. That's how we light it up. That's how we allow it to pave the way, as we say. And so amazing. So amazing. Well, Bryce, do you have any other shares for us?
All I really have to say is just believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself, anything's possible. And some people see it differently. If you believe in yourself, anything's possible. And it's very true. And people say it all the time. It's very true. If you believe in yourself, anything is possible. You just have to believe in yourself and believe in it. And it'll happen. Believe in it and it will happen.
And do you remember what the word believe means?
Be alive in.
Awesome.
So you're being alive in that feeling, in that thought. And it's true. You're alive in it. It's happening.
So amazing. I love hearing all of your stories, and it's just a remembering that, like, I stepped into support to create where we're living, but you had to walk in it too for you to have your full experience. You would have some of it, but you just really walked because you were repeating the same things that I was.
Yes, that was the first, because your mom and I were speaking last week, and she was sharing this story, and then here you are. I supported coaches, supported teachers, supported this. And I'm like, oh, her whole family was speaking into this, because what we do in ourselves, our people receive when they will. And so you spread it, which is awesome.
And what I love is that he mentioned the door to receiving, because he just mentioned that and I love that Bryce, that you said that it started so simply with just thank you and you're welcome.
Yes.
People think that's so small, like it's nothing. And you're like, it's the doorway. It's turning the knob on the door and it's opening the door for all of those other things that happened and will continue to happen as we continue to receive.
And I love his sovereign yeses and nos.
Yes.
That's it. That was the other thing. Wasn't that a learning, huh, Brian?
Yes, that too. It's just for people to understand you a little bit more too, and just to be sure about your answer. Like whenever you're talking to a friend, like, hey, you want to go here? And they're like, yeah. It's like, well, do you want to go there? Like, you sound like you're not sure. Like, yes, I want to go there. That's how I view it. More, your answer.
And I tell people, your subconscious is your computer program. It goes on autopilot. It tells you to get up in the morning. It tells you to go brush your teeth. When you were little, you learned to brush your teeth, and now the autopilot plays and tells you what to do. I mean, because Bryce, do you ever sit there and think, oh, now the left side, now the right side, now the top? No. Okay. So it just so it just automatically goes. And so we're just, with your subconscious automatically moving that way, what we're aware of is it's a program that's running. And if you tell the program, it doesn't understand that. If you go, like, this is my favorite. People go, well, it's yes and no. I'm like, the program doesn't work that way. In your brain, when you go, and your subconscious hears yes and no, it goes, well, which way? Like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And it just sits there like this. And so when we have our yes, when we give ourselves our yes or our no, when we stand in it and answer the question, it comes from our heart, and we're retraining our subconscious to choose.
And our qualifying question is, if somebody says, will you marry me? And you go, yeah, sure.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I'll be there. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, if coach asks you, do you want to play on varsity? How do you think he'd answer if you go, oh, yeah, sure.
He's gonna be like, all right, well, you don't want to play.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Because if you really want something, they'll know by the way you speak, your body language, and everything you do. If you show them that you care.
And the straight answer of yes or no is how that begins. Like, we're aware of how our actions, people say our actions speak louder than our words. And yet how we stay in our actions and how our actions will actually change and how they'll actually see it. We also require giving ourselves our yes or our no, even inside of us. We just say it. Like, because one of the things I heard you say, Bryce, I think is so profound, is you said, the coaches, they just kept showing up for me. They just kept showing up for me. They just kept showing up for me. And who had to show up for themselves first?
Me.
And when you showed up for yourself again and again and again, how did you do that? What did you do to show up for yourself, Bryce? Do you know? What are some ways you show up for yourself so people understand?
It's actually kind of a good question, because I just do it without really thinking twice about it.
What do you do?
What do I do to show up for myself? Well, I care about myself. I take care about myself, support myself. I do everything to make me the best athlete I can. And I respect people. And I respect coaches. And I just show up and I do what I do best. And I get what I get back. What I give, I give back.
Some of the things that you do more specifically to care for you.
Well, I get my sleep for sure. I get my sleep. I feed myself the right foods and drinks, especially in the weekends. A little
I believe you are a 15-year-old meal prepper. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes. I meal prep my lunch every day. So I take care of myself by getting the right sleep, the right food, by showing up on time. That's the big one. Showing up on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time. That's what coaches say. And if you're on time, you're on time. The coaches like that. So show up, be on time, do what coaches say, and get good grades too. I'm really big on grades too. What else?
You show up in the classroom because you show up and you listen.
That too. Listening is a big one. When I was younger, I didn't really listen to what people said that much. And I listen now. Just listen to what people say and everything. And yeah, I don't really think, what else do I do? I just kind of do it.
Yes, but do you work out on your own?
Oh, yes, that too. Yes, I work out a lot. I love working out.
Do you roll? Do you stretch every day?
Yes, that too. Stretch. See, it's just a normal pattern in my life. I just stretch and do everything.
And do you roll on the roller for your myofascial tissue?
Yes. So just taking care of your body, taking care of your life, your mental health, and
so every one of those things is a way that what I'm aware of is a way you're showing up for yourself, and you've just picked different ways to show up. And when you show up for yourself, then people show up for you. Because when you prep all those meals and you have a big breakfast, do you get any support with those?
Yes. My mom here is a big factor in my life, especially in the mornings. Like 99% of the time, she will make my breakfast for me, and I appreciate that a lot because
I believe it's more like 65%. But okay.
Yeah.
Well, we are on. He's been in a remembering of allowing his support again. When he was trying to do it all, you got real tired, didn't you? Didn't you feel sleepy? And you were like, oh, God.
Yes. So I received support. I requested for support, and I got it. So I got my support, which supports me too, because I get to sleep, and I get to stretch, and I get to care for myself just a little bit more. And then I get to wake up in the morning and get a nice little meal and get on to school and get my workout in and come back from school and do all that. And
you have a job too, don't you?
Yes, I do. I do have a job. So that's another thing that how I care for myself. I care for myself by working and getting money.
Awesome.
There you go. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bryce. Thanks for jumping in and sharing so honestly. We just love to just get on these things, and this is what we do. Now I just get on here and talk. No plan. It just whatever we say is perfect. And as your mother, I'm very proud of who you are, and it's amazing to hear you explain all of these things. And I also know that Bryce is going to be a coach one day, of the conscious kind. And
really, you think that?
You already said to me,
you already are.
You're like, what questions? Ooh, yes. And it is, and how you thread it will be your own dance. We have plenty of coaches that are teachers in the school and they coach there. We have a friend there. We're going to speak to her. She's with elementary school kids, and she's actually using consciousness. We have friends that are realtors and they use consciousness. We have, in all the industries, we're seeing that we can use consciousness anywhere as our way of coaching and being a leader. It's about being a leader. You can lead through consciousness.
Even in football.
Sorry, say that again.
Even in football.
Oh, yes. Leadership is a big thing in football.
There's so much body in football and people, how things come up for them and what it actually means. And it just because your experience was your hamstring and your back is challenges that came up for you through football that we're showing you where you are in life in moving forward and feeling supported in all of life. And imagine being that for someone else as they play and do the thing that they love the most. Because that's what your mom and I do, is we share what we have learned in the way that we love the most. It just happened. It canceled just. It is in consciousness, being with people who are remembering how to be in their own bodies. And that it's
because how awesome would it be, Bryce, for athletes to realize that they no longer require pushing through, that they could translate all of their pains to identify that it's just a memory in time where they didn't feel supported, and they're able, or whatever it is, support, or whatever it translates, and to be able to step into it and change it and be healthier and stronger.
We would have a lot more athletes if we did that. And I see myself doing that now after I'm done with football, being a coach. Because I want this whole.
Why do you have to wait till you're done with football?
Well, that's
what I'm saying. We're not saying make the whole thing your whole career. We're saying thread it in as you're threading it into your life, and you're just sharing your experiences. You people start waking up around you. That's how you do it.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying now.
Awesome.
Blessings. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
The both of you enjoy your day.
We will.
Alrighty.
Goodbye, everybody. And you can find us every Wednesday at 8:30 for Your Word is Your Wand. We are on YouTube. Please subscribe to our channel. I choose to put that in there because I have all of this. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and put this nice little guy on there.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go ahead and add real quick that on YouTube, you can find us at Embody Coaches, and ask that you go ahead and subscribe to our channel. And you can find us here. You can find us on my LinkedIn page at Carrie Muchaw, and you can find us on our Embody Facebook page. Andrea and I offer one-on-one coaching. As you can hear, Living With Us gets it done. But we also do coaching one-on-one, and we do group classes where we have monthly classes where we meet weekly for an hour and a half. And our next one coming up will be around relationships. We're going to speak into our relationships. And so we'll begin to find out what we're experiencing in our current relationships and how we can expand and allow ourselves to walk in our own relationship with ourselves to create the relationships we truly desire, which is what you can hear. This is exactly what Bryce demonstrated and did. And so it's so great that he came here to share all of that. And so we'll be having those. And then we have a retreat. Our next retreat coming up is in May. We have one at the end of the month, sold out. So we have one the very first week in May. So jump in, subscribe, listen with your heart, see what you hear. And if you have a yes, jump in and join something that we're offering. Send us a message. We're here to connect with you, discovering how your words are creating your reality. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.